everybody, and welcome back to the Cast Beyond the Wall. I'm your host, Caleb Masters, and we are hosting from across the country. I am joined today by co-host from Oklahoma City,
Daniel Stull.
In the great state of Arizona, along with me, sir,
Austin Lucari.
Today we are going to be reviewing the episode of Game of Thrones Season 4, Two Swords, and we are stoked to talk about this thing. Before we get things rolling, we're gonna talk about Austin a little bit. He's joining us today. He's being promoted from special guest host to regular host. We're very excited to have him on this season. We're gonna ask a couple questions to kind of let audiences get to know you a little better. What characters are you excited to see this season?
We talked about this kind of at the end of last year, you and I'm really excited to see Arya. I want to see what she does this year, having seen every member of her family so far die. And as far as she knows, Sansa could be dead and Bran could be dead. So I'm excited to see what she's going to do with that and see her get a little bit of revenge. It'll be fun. And you see a little bit of that in this episode, but I think she has the potential to go on a giant Kill Bill killing spree.
Man can go kill himself.
Joffrey, Cersei, Ill in Pain. Face, tits, balls. I hit him right where I wanted to.
Gotta watch out. She's gonna be the Batman of Westeros in no time. Who wins this season, Austin? Now we're not gonna say who wins the show because this show's too big. But last season we saw Tywin rise to power, win the war, and pretty much has established the beginning of an empire. So you could say he won season 3.
I think with the White Walkers becoming a bit more prevalent, I think Jon Snow's time to shine is this year. I think he's in the right place at the right time. He has all the knowledge. He's been with the White Walkers, kind of dealt with all this crap, and I think this is his year to really show himself.
Yeah, good pick. I think that's a really good point. Jon Snow up to this point really hasn't been able to do a whole lot. I mean, we saw him train at the wall. We saw him go beyond the wall and get to see the wildlings, but he hasn't really had that moment yet to shine and be like, bam, I'm Jon Snow. So I think it's a good point. I think we could see some movement from him this season.
And that would be really exciting. I know that me and Caleb are both Jon Snow fans, so that'd be really cool to see him, have that sort of those moments for him. That'd be really cool to see. So I hope you're right.
Yeah, I would love to see Jon Snow take on some stuff. He is definitely one of my favorite characters that hasn't been quite utilized the way I want him to yet. So, all right, well, audiences, last season we would always open with doing interviews of each of us. We'd ask questions. There'd be a question of the week. I'm going to interview our guest host. Well, this year, we're not going to do all that every single week when we have a new person maybe. But this year, just to get you guys back up to speed, we're gonna quiz you. We're going to ask each other a couple quiz questions here. First off, what are all our favorite houses?
I'm definitely going to go with the Tyrells, although I will say that the Martells, especially with their kind of introduction in this episode, are definitely intriguing to me, and I definitely want to find out more about them. But for now, I'm going to go with the Tyrells as my favorite. I really like that they've kind of come to King's Landing and been a new players in the game, and they're doing things a little bit different than other people have done them. And they're not doing the Stark way of just rebelling and going against them. They're sort of hiding right under everybody's noses and playing this game, and I'm really excited to see where that's going. So
they're taking they're taking like a back door into power, right? They're like, oh look,
exactly.
we're coming to King's Landing, guys. What's up?
And I'm gonna marry the king, and then all of a sudden I'm the queen, and we've got this. Yeah, so I really like that whole dynamic, and I'm excited to see where that kind of goes.
Yeah, absolutely. The Tyrells they're kind of like they're playing it just politically enough that they can't get in trouble. They're like, hey, we're gonna marry the king, and we're slowly gonna take over because they're very pragmatic, and I think that is definitely to their advantage.
We talked about this a little bit last year when I was a guest, and I'm going to still have to go with the Greyjoys. It's not really about any of the characters per se, though I do like them. They haven't really had their chance to shine. I really like the kind of pirate culture, like Vikings just taking what they wanted, raiding things, all that stuff. And I think that their city, their capital, is probably one of the coolest in Westeros. This island kind of castle on this giant mountain. It's just really cool. So I got to go with the Greyjoys.
Yo ho, pirates life for me. That's what they do. They rape, pillage, and plunder, man. They got the 3 things down to be pirates.
We pillage, we plunder, we rifle and loot. Drink up, me hearties, yo ho. We kidnap and ravage and don't give a hoot. Drink up, me hearties, yo ho.
I'm gonna go with House Baelish. You wanna know why I'm gonna go with House Baelish? I'm gonna go with House Baelish because there's only one guy. His name's
No,
Littlefinger.
that's not a house. That's just a dude.
His house. He just got a house. He's about
He
to.
just makes his own house.
His house is like a melted castle. It looks like a sand castle.
He just got. But it's okay. It's okay because he's about to marry and become Lord of the Vale. That's a house. He's about to take over the Aaron throne. He's gonna have Lysa Aaron behind him. He's gonna have.
We'll see if that actually happens. They might just kick him down the pit.
They could just kick him down the pit, but I feel like because he's Littlefinger, it's a little too soon. But if I was not gonna go with House Baelish, I go with Lannisters. Why go with Lannisters? I mean, they're kind of like the bad guys. No one really likes them, right? Well, they played it very, very smart. And Tywin is very respectable, despite also being equally detestable. So I've got a thing for them because Tywin and Tyrion both have a way. They know how to play the game, and they know how to navigate this world, and they know how to get what they want. And I think that's very cool. I think even Jaime to some degree is very likable. I hate Cersei, and I kind of hate Tywin's whole like, oh, the Lannisters have to have like this empire, family first mentality. I don't really like that, but I do have a lot of respect for a house that is kind of over the years gained power. And listeners who haven't read the books should probably know that before Tywin, the Lannisters were kind of a house that was laughed at. So it's very, very admirable to see how far they've come. Let's go ahead and get into our recap of the season 4 premiere, Two Swords.
They say 1,000 slaves died building the Great Pyramid of Marine.
And now an army of former slaves is marching to her gates.
You can't serve in the King's Guard with one hand.
I murdered people so I could be here with you.
There's a band of wildlings south of the wall already.
Tell your father I'm here. The Lannisters aren't the only ones who pay their debts.
This season opened with a cold open, and what a cold open is essentially it's a scene that plays before the opening credits. Now, Game of Thrones, the show has a history of doing that in its premieres, but otherwise they don't do it very often. And I thought this was a really excellent, if not the best, cold open they've had so far. So essentially, we come in, and Tywin is melting down ice that was Ned Stark's family sword. It was like a family heirloom they passed down generation to generation, and after he got decapitated with it by Ilyn Payne, they kind of kept it in King's Landing. Well, now that the Starks are no more, Tywin kind of sits there and he decides he's gonna melt it and make two of his own. I think this is a really powerful scene because it just kind of plays to the imagery of the Lannisters just totally dismembering everything the Starks ever had. He's melting down the family heirloom and kind of making it his own, which is kind of what he's done with the Stark family. And I also think that a really nice touch in the scene was it starts with the Stark theme, and then slowly but surely is overtaken by the Reigns of Castamere, and by the end it's like just Reigns Castamere awesome. So, what did you guys think about the scene?
Yes, I'm glad you pointed out the music, because I noticed that too, and I thought that was really awesome, that the way that was kind of edited and worked in. I really love that. And the kicker for me, just on like kind of an emotional level, was the wolf pelt that was thrown on top of it to burn while the swords were there. Just sort of that reminder, the wolves are no more. The wolves have been burned. They don't exist anymore. And it's sort of like you said, it's the opener for the season. This is a world where the Starks don't exist anymore.
I didn't even notice the music. I wish I had. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch it. But the only thing with me is it was so sad that you had this giant, awesome sword, and it got turned into a long sword, which is cool, and then some sort of toothpick. And that's what it came down to.
I'm gonna pick my teeth with it. You know what, Austin? I think it is very tragic, but I have to ask: how would one actually use ice in battle? It was too big, way too big to use in actual battle.
It was monstrous.
You can hit multiple targets with one cleave. I played Diablo. I know.
The Nephilim will stop you. No one can stop death.
Let's go ahead and move on to the opening, the grand opening that we're all so familiar with and we all love so much. Man, it never gets old, guys. It just really doesn't. So, as per always, the show adds in new locations to kind of point out where we're going to be going throughout that, usually that episode or that season.
The two that were added were the first one being Marine, which is the city that Daenerys is headed towards, the one with apparently have these giant pyramids or whatever that we saw in the trailers. And it's the one where all the little girls that we saw, which we'll talk about later, are pointing to. The other one is, I can never pronounce it properly, but it's Dreadfort. Sorry. I keep thinking of a different city when we talk about this, but Dreadfort, which is the place where the Boltons are from. So that's really exciting. We didn't get to see Bolton in this episode, but what that says to me is that we will get to see a lot of the Boltons this season, which should be really, really exciting. We'll get to see what their house is really all about, and maybe we'll get to see some more Ramsay stuffs, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. We'll come to figure that out.
The Boltons is them getting eaten by White Walkers. That's all I want.
Oh gosh. You know what, Austin? I hate to break it to you. I really do, but man, the Boltons, they ain't going anywhere, man. They're not going anywhere for a long time.
Don't tell me such things. It's
and you need to know, Ramsay Bolton, we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg on that guy. He's kind of a monster. He makes Joffrey look like I don't know, a character off of Magic School Bus or something like that. So
yeah, he's pretty intense.
He's sadistic. King's Landing has always been like the central focus, I think, overall of the whole show. But they really brought back most of those storylines to King's Landing. It was really cool to see a lot of them come back together. But obviously the big one, the opening character, the character we probably saw the most of in the episode was Jaime Lannister. This guy is back to King's Landing. This is the first time since he left in season 1. And obviously we've seen this guy change dramatically over the last season. And he's kind of back home and trying to get back in the swing of things. And it's not the same. First scene off the bat, right after that the opening theme was Jaime and Tywin. And guys, this was a great scene. Any scene with Tywin and one of his kids is always great, just period.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this was a scene, for me in particular, I was really looking forward to after reading the books. We have those scenes with Tyrion where he sort of stands up to Tywin, but Tywin just sort of shuts him down and just tells him off, and then that's the end of the conversation. Here we see the guy that Tywin actually maybe has some sort of value in, and Jaime sort of says, no, I'm going to do what I want. And it seems that, that Tywin just sort of like, okay, I'm going to kind of disown you, I think is what Jaime says later. And the line just that really hurt.
A one-handed man with no family needs all the help he can get.
And it's just sort of like just like a right into the gut. And so I thought it was a really strong scene. Thought it was very interesting that Jaime was kind of taking this stance against his own father, because we've never really seen him stand up to his father before. He just sort of does what his father asked him to. So I thought it was a really, really good thing, and one I was really looking forward to.
You could tell Jaime spent his entire life trying to run away from his dad. That's why it seems like that's probably why he joined the Kingsguard, just to get away from his dad. Now his dad is there in his face all day long, and that's not good for anybody.
Austin, that's some great insight there. And if you read past book 3, they actually get into that quite a bit, and it's awesome. So that's really cool. That is great insight, and I think that's a great point that Jaime, when he was very, very, very young, I believe he was actually probably the youngest member of the king to ever join the Kingsguard, I think.
Yes, I'm pretty sure you're right on that.
And so when he was very young, he was sent off to join the Kingsguard. He's away from his dad, and then Robert comes in and he protects Robert, and Cersei's there. The love of his life is there. So he's got everything he needs, and he's always been away from Tywin. And it seemed like they have a really great relationship, even though I feel like Jaime is Tywin's favorite kid, kind of his golden boy. And I think Stoll, that was a great point you brought up. He essentially called him a cripple, and a worthless cripple was basically what it seemed like he was telling him.
Gosh, that's really gotta be something. I mean, it hurt me as someone who likes Jaime, but Jaime just sort of and shrugs it off and just sort of walks out of the room. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like you're saying I'm sure it did affect him on some level. Wouldn't that affect if your own father said that to you? But he just sort of, I guess he's gotten used to taking it from people.
He's already written off his dad. He's a 40-year-old man.
Yeah.
That, just doesn't care anymore.
Right. Jaime realizes his sword is made out of Stark steel. I thought that was kind of cool. He's like, who's this Eddard Stark's sword? I don't know. I thought that was kind of like a realization of what's going on.
It's weird because Jaime wanted to beat Ned Stark. That's why he fought with him in the streets and all this stuff. And then as the final I think it's almost an insult to Jaime, Tywin ends up defeating Ned Stark essentially, and then giving Jaime the rewards of it. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Well, the other part of this I want to highlight is not only does Jaime detest his father, he makes no bones about it. He doesn't give a rat's ass about the Lannister family legacy, which is all Tywin's about. It's all for the family. But he's like, I don't want kids. I don't want to go back to Casterly Rock. I just want to be here on the Kingsguard. He's like, I don't care about you and whatever you want. This is what I want, and I'm going to stick around. So screw you. But I thought that was interesting.
That's a really good point. because it's just the exact opposite of Tywin. Tywin's all about the family legacy, and Jaime's sort of like, screw the family legacy. I want to do what I want. And we know that he's thinking, I just want to be with Cersei. Like, that's all that he's thinking about. Like, as we see in a later scene, which we'll talk about later, is his whole decision to stay in the Kingsguard is to be with Cersei. You know, he's sort of like, screw the family legacy. I just want to be with the person I love.
Yeah.
You know,
which obviously he doesn't tell Tywin that, but yes, we know exactly what he's thinking. But on the other hand,
Tywin knows. Tywin knows what's up.
Oh, Tywin definitely knows what's up. He just wants to pretend it's not happening. We've been waiting on Jaime to reunite with his whole family. This has been a big one, and I kind of feel like Cersei's a horrible person. I didn't really like her before. I really didn't. But I like her even less after this scene. He comes back. He's like, I love you.
Something's changed.
Everything's changed. You come back after all this time with no apologies in one hand and expect everything to be the same.
What do you want me to apologize for?
For leaving me.
You think I wanted to be taken prisoner?
Don't know what you wanted. You weren't here. You left me. Alone.
She's like, F off. I mean, basically. She's like, you weren't there when you weren't there when I needed you. But he's like, but I tried. It wasn't my fault. She's like, I don't care. You took too long. Nah.
You know, she was one of my favorite characters. I said that last time when I was a guest. She was one of my favorite characters. I like her because I think she brings something good to the show that the show needs. But this scene didn't help my opinion of her very much. She was pretty cruel and extremely selfish. I mean, she was essentially, very much you could tell that she is Joffrey's mother. That's pretty much all I can say about it, I guess.
Yeah, I really, really liked this scene. It was the scene I wasn't exactly expecting.
Yeah, me either.
I really, really enjoyed it. And this is going to sound kind of weird, but I felt really, really bad for Jaime. I'm sort of like, no, but he loves you, and he's made all these decisions for you. And I'm like, wait, I'm defending incest. And I'm like, kind of like, what's going on? I felt like she was saying, I kind of detest you now, and I don't really want to be with you anymore. I felt like she was just sort of like, our relationship's over. That's kind of how I felt about it. Yeah. I don't know, maybe if you guys kind of get the same vibe.
She didn't want to say, well, I'm breaking up with you, but
that's what happened.
Yeah.
But I thought the actress did a really good job with that scene. So kudos to her. But interesting, I will make this point because I actually talked to a female that happened to be my fiance, and she had the opposite feeling about this scene. She actually really liked Cersei for saying all these things, and she said that while yes, she's being somewhat selfish, and yes, she's doing these things, I can understand where she's coming from. And I mean, I know we're all guys here, and I don't know. I just thought it was interesting that a female's perspective was saying that she kind of understood where Cersei was coming from. She didn't necessarily defend what she was saying, but she said she liked her in that moment, which I thought was interesting. So it's just a woman's perspective. Perspective out there.
I seriously think, lady listeners, if you're listening to the show, and Rachel can feel free to comment on the Facebook also. If you're listening to the show, please go ahead, hop on the Facebook group and comment, because I would love to hear this opinion. And, you know, as a matter of fact, whenever we have our next lady listener on as a guest host, I'm going to bring this up, because I'm interested, because I felt like the scene was written in such a way that I was like, it was almost like you had to hate her. But I'm a dude. I'm limited.
Jaime says something like, it's been weeks, and she says, you can't just come back here and act like everything's the same. Everything's changed. And I thought that was a really good point. There's just kind of like going on with this season, like, this is different. Everything has changed now. This is a different world that we're in now. And I thought that was a really good point from her. Just, it's not the same anymore. Everything's changed.
Yeah. And that's something that probably Jaime doesn't even realize, having been gone. He doesn't even have any idea how bad things are with Joffrey on the throne and everything that's going on.
It's these characters.
So he's definitely naive, for sure, to that fact.
You know, it's definitely these characters being unable to relate to where each other's been. Because I think it's fair to argue that both Cersei and Jaime have had their fair experience of rough life experiences. They both had their fair share of crap happen to them in the last 2 seasons. I mean, Cersei has had to be the political mastermind. She was stuck. I mean, all the things she mentioned, while I think she's being very selfish about them, there are fair points that she didn't have the emotional stability of, you know, her lover there. On the other hand, though, Jaime was also, you know, captured, lost his hand, yada yada, fought a bear, all that stuff. And I think neither one of them can really relate. They're like, you think you had it bad, but you really don't know my story. And like, even though they told each other what happened, they don't really connect. Jaime and Joffrey, And I just want to say Joffrey is an equal opportunity douchebag. He insults his own uncle/father like it's no one's business. I was like, whoa, I thought maybe he'd be a little more respectful, but no, he was making super passive-aggressive insults to Jaime the whole time. Oh, yeah, you're off being captured. Yeah, you know. Oh, my gosh.
And I will just say, I love the way Jaime handles it. He's like, when he attacks him, he says, how can you defend me without your right hand? He just says, like, I use my left hand. It makes a contest now. Like, he just, like, rolls with it. And I just love that kind of the way I'm going to handle with, you know, people making fun of me. I'm just going to roll with it and make it into something, like, really arrogant. And it's really funny. Like,
yeah, no, I thought so, too. It's very, very Jaime. Yeah, he's still got that smug sense of humor that is still there. I like it.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, the other guy in this scene, I mean, Jaime may only have one hand, but the other guy's kind of fat, to be honest.
Oh, gosh. Well, no. And if you go back and rewatch it, I've been rewatching the seasons leading up to this. This was the same dude when Joffrey said, punch Sansa in the face. He totally did it. I'm like, holy crap, this guy's terrible. He's a terrible human being. But he's like, I protected the king while you were gone.
Perfect for Joffrey. Exactly who he wants around him.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, he was the guy when he was like beating up Sansa, and then Tyrion walks in. And he's like, "What kind of night? It's a woman," you know. Just a little shout out, real quick, for fans of the books. They mentioned Sir Duncan, which is a reference to George R. R. Martin's Hedge Knight series, The Tales of Dunk and Egg. I haven't read them, but I've heard about them. Fun fact. And then the last thing I thought was really cool and it was, again, making us really sympathize with Jaime, was he has like a half a page in the list of great accomplishments of the knights of the Kingsguard. He has a half a page, and this is a guy who's actually done quite a bit. He saved King's Landing, and this is just to reiterate that this guy is totally under respected and undervalued by Westeros. They don't recognize all the things he's done.
I thought it was a little bit of a nod also to the book readers, because there's that kind of scene where Jaime sits down and writes everything from Sir Barristan, maybe, yes, or some other knight. Yeah, I thought that was sort of a nod there, you know, saying for the book readers, just showing that book and stuff. But yeah, just the fact that he has half a page, and like we see other knights with 4 pages of deeds and stuff, was again showing us that people haven't really considered what Jaime's done yet. But like Jaime said, there's still plenty of time for him to do some even more things.
If you look back at last season, though, there was the conversation Jaime had with the doctor, who was like doing experiments on people and stuff like that, and he asked Jaime, well, how many people have you killed, and how many people have you saved? And he said, well, I've killed countless, but I've saved at least 500,000, referring to saving everybody in King's Landing from getting burned.
Right.
So I mean, he's done the deeds, just no one ever recognizes them.
Yeah, you're definitely right.
Everyone emphasizes that he killed the king, not that he saved the city, but I think he didn't really tell everybody, and I don't know, obviously no one really understands why he killed the king, truly. Even though everyone knew he was crazy and he killed him, no one seems to respect that anyhow.
Yeah, I mean, this is just like the culmination of, we've talked about 4 scenes now with Jaime, and in every single one of them, people are just giving him crap. He just gets back, got his hand chopped off, been locked up for who knows how long. You guys probably know. And his dad, his sister/wife person, his own son, and probably his best friend, all just crapping on him all at once. And it's just kind of, I feel for the guy.
Yeah.
I do too, and I think he's going to be another big pull this season. Him and Tyrion, and that was the only thing I was a little disappointed to see, and I hope we get more some of next episode. We didn't see him interact. We saw him interact with every member of his family, including Joffrey, but Tyrion. And the thing the show hasn't really hit on, Tyrion and Jaime actually really like each other. We really just haven't had a chance to see them interact at all. So I really hope in the next couple episodes we can get to see that, maybe, hopefully.
Yeah, it was a cool scene. I mean, not much. There wasn't much to take from it. Just the fact that Jaime's getting hounded again, and I actually agree with him on some level that where could he take Sansa anyway? Like, there's nowhere really for him to take her. She's fairly safe with Tyrion. I mean, she's not really safe, but I see where he's coming from.
To take her to Caitlyn, right? And she's dead, so.
Yeah. I mean, I see where Jaime's coming from here. I don't know what he's supposed to do with her to keep her safe. Like, you could go put her in like an island by herself, but that's not really going to help her. Like, I don't know. Like, I see where he's coming from.
No. And actually, Stoll, I'm on your boat too. I think his oath is more than fulfilled. Like, he has done all he can. Arya Stark, God knows where she's at. I mean, really, no one has any clue, other than maybe Littlefinger. No one has any clue where she might be at. And then, like, Sansa, what's he gonna do? Kidnap her from the castle and drive her away? Everyone's gonna know he did it. I mean, like, what would anyone gain from that? Nothing.
Yeah.
So
she could have gone with the Hound. He offered to do that very thing.
Dude, they could have been having a trio. The Hound could have been teaching them both how to be killers.
She would fit in so well with that group.
Yeah, she'd do great.
That would have been the most epic Three Musketeers movie ever. Sansa only really has two major scenes, the first being a scene with Tyrion. And this is a rough scene, guys. I feel so bad for everyone involved. Can I just say so bad? Because Tyrion is trying to talk her through her obvious emotional issues with this. I mean, her family was killed. She's only heard rumors about how they died. So her, in her imagination, that's even crazier than what it actually probably looked like. So she's got all this emotional garbage floating around. He's trying so hard to listen to her. I think he's really trying to do what's best for her. He's trying to do right by her, but for some reason, she just doesn't connect with Tyrion because he's a Lannister, I think. And it's sad. And the worst part is, she says that thing at the end. He's like, "Are you gonna go to the garden and pray?" She's like, "I don't pray anymore." I was like, "Oh God, this woman's she doesn't even have faith to cling on to anymore." She's just like, "I don't want to die."
I really like the scene. It's frustrating for me on many levels. I'm frustrated that Sansa doesn't see that Tyrion's trying to help her, but at the same time, I completely understand why she doesn't, because she sees this as the guy who's part of the family that just killed her whole family, and she thinks he has meetings with the Hand. She probably thinks he had he probably at least knew about it, or something, and he didn't say anything to her. So I see her perspective. I understand why she doesn't want to accept Tyrion, but I'm really frustrated for Tyrion because he's really trying to do the right thing. He's been put in this really awkward position, but he's still trying to, do what he thinks is best, and it's just not working out, and it's causing his relationship to Shay to get even more, put strain on that, and it's just really hard for him, but it's also really hard for her. So it's just I just feel for everybody in the scene, like you said. Like, it's just such a frustrating for Sansa, it's frustrating for Tyrion. It's just a bad situation, like just an awkward situation going on there.
I like the scene. Sansa, she's just been, it's just been kind of unrelenting with her. I'm hoping that, like you said, she gets a chance to live a little bit.
Yeah.
But like Tyrion says, like, she's just got to keep surviving like Caitlyn would want her to, basically.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, and I think it's very hard when people are in those situations. I've never had someone that close to me die, like my mom. But when you're in that situation, you're grieving, and not only has someone died, she's surrounded by her, essentially what she sees as her family's killers. How does she come to peace with where she's at?
Exactly.
And to her credit, she's played it really smart. She's kind of kept quiet. She just hasn't made anybody upset any more than she has to.
Right.
She deserves a lot of credit for staying alive to this point,
definitely.
Yeah. And there are a lot of Sansa haters out there, and I'm gonna say, guys, I have to disagree with anyone out there who doesn't like her, because in the first season she is frustrating because she is playing this whole teenage fantasy of being swept away by Prince Charming and all those things. But I think that's kind of what Martin's trying to get at. And when all those things falls apart, all of a sudden her world is crumbling and she's having to readjust and figure out, oh crap, how do I stay alive? And I mean, the best thing, and really a person in her position, the only thing she can do is be quiet, play along until she figures a way out. I mean, she could have gone crazy and started stabbing people 10 episodes ago. I mean, and it would have been justified, totally justified.
And she's held it together.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm surprised she hasn't turned into the next Arya by now or something like that.
Yeah.
So
no, she can go crazy. She does meet up with Sir Dontos, the guy she saved his life in the beginning of season 2 when Joffrey was going to kill her, and she convinced Joffrey to let him be a fool.
Sir Meryn, help Sir Dontos celebrate my name day. See that he drinks his fill.
You can't!
What did you say? Did you say I can't?
I only meant it would be bad luck to kill a man on your name day.
What kind of stupid peasant superstition?
The girl is right. When a man sows on his name day, he reaps all year.
Did you hear, my lady, Sir Dontos? From this day, you'll be my new fool.
Thank you, Your Grace. And you, my lady, thank you.
He kind of comes back and talks to her a little bit and gives her a necklace. So it's like, oh, it's a precious moment of happiness. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. I felt like Sansa felt in that moment that someone remembered, like she didn't feel totally alone in that moment. She kind of felt, hey, someone remembers me, and they're doing it like. And for her, it felt like it gave her a purpose. It felt like because she says, I'm not going to take it, and then he says, do this so that my name will be remembered one more time. And so for her, it's this good deed that she can do for somebody. It gives her something to do, like a purpose for her in her own mind or heart, maybe. I don't know. I thought it was like you said, a nice little scene where some sort of happiness can be drawn out of all this. But
yeah, that's good. I think when I initially saw it, I thought it was a pretty pointless scene, honestly. But the way you put it like that, it definitely is like, well, she deserves something happy, by God.
It's to show that she has done. And even though she hasn't done, quote unquote, done a lot, she has done things. She has impacted people's lives despite having no power. So
exactly,
I think it was a nice touch. I really do.
I feel like
it was a nice touch.
I feel like there's more to it.
It seems like kind of weird just to shove him in after not being around forever. So there's got to be something more gonna happen later on, I think.
That's a fair assumption, and I mean the only way to say for sure is to keep watching. But I think you've got a great point. They're not just gonna throw something in there just. Even if it's just a nice moment for the character, you know that like there's got to be a purpose to it, right? Even more so than just like why now? They could have reintroduced him like last year or whatever. I mean, Sansa's been getting the crap better for a while.
Well, do you want to touch on Brienne and the Tyrells?
Oh yes, thank you. Mm-hmm. So before we move on to more Tyrion stuff, let's talk briefly about Brienne and the Tyrells. And this is another. Brienne didn't have her scenes were very minimal this week and didn't have a huge impact, but I think they're worth noting because I think they're going to play into the plot threads we're going to see play out through the season. And one of them being Brienne goes and talks to Marjorie and Olenna, Marjorie specifically, and she's there to kind of say, hey, guess what? I want you to know I didn't kill Renly. I am still loyal to Renly. There was a shadow thing. I'm pretty sure it's got to be Stannis. And Marjorie's like, okay, well, cool.
Yeah.
I don't care anymore. I'm marrying the king, so I got what I wanted.
Yeah. I do, by the way, find it really, I just thought it was really, really interesting that Grandma Tyrell, I thought it was really cool that she loved Brienne so much. She's like, wow, you are just fascinating. I just thought that was really interesting how she just loved her as soon as she walked up and stuff. I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was a nice touch, and I like this too because in the books she's immediately taken prisoner when she gets to the city for killing someone. So yeah, it was just a nice touch, and I thought it was kind of cool because Brienne went through a lot of crap too. So it's nice to see that she's loved, and I'm very interested to see where they take her this season.
Yeah, that whole little interaction actually was really interesting.
As Brienne and Marjorie are walking into the building, dear God, we saw that freaking statue.
Oh my gosh.
That statue, guys.
I was so mad. Because it just made me hate Joffrey even more. Even if that, I don't even know if that's possible for me to hate him more, but it did. Just him standing on the wolf and just it's just totally Joffrey just trying to take all the credit for the nothing that he did.
Cersei said a couple seasons ago, when you're king, the truth will be what you make it.
Yeah.
That's totally, it's just ridiculous.
That's what he's making it. He's like, when he's talking to Jaime, he's like, I won the war. I beat Stannis. I was like, no, Tywin won the war. You ran to
your mother.
Tywin won the war. You ran to your mother, and Tyrion won the battle. So you were whining like a baby in the corner. I mean, seriously, it's like what? And then of course he's like, I did it. And then that statue is his just freaking ego. Oh my gosh, with the dead wolf, I was like, oh.
Yes.
There is a very, very bad place when you die, Joffrey. I hope you know that. So let's go ahead and move on to some more Tyrion stuff. I'm talking specifically, we're going to go ahead, the scene where he is greeting Oberyn Martell. Guys, I'm so excited about Mr. Martell this season. He's a big fan favorite, and I've read a lot about him, and there's been a lot of hype going into the season about how they were going to portray this character and write him in. And they actually changed it up a little bit by Tyrion goes out to greet Oberyn. Well, actually, I think he was greeting his brother, right? I can't remember his brother's name.
It was supposed to be his older brother,
right?
he's supposed to be the actual prince, but he for I think they say for health reasons he couldn't make it.
Yeah, he's sick. So it's like you have a big party and you invite your boss and his brother comes, or something like that.
Right, exactly.
It's like,
yeah.
what's this guy doing here? No one likes this guy, and it doesn't help
And
anything.
you set everything up for this big welcome, and then it's not the guy you thought it was going to be, and he's not even there.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
sort of like, well, this was a waste.
And his reputation preceded him because Tyrion was like, "Oh crap, you sent a different person. He's probably murdering everybody in the city at this point."
Right.
You have to find him right now.
And I love he always starts going. He's like, "How do you know where he's at? Where else would Oberyn Screws half of Westeros Martell be at?" And they go to one of Littlefinger's brothels, which I thought was great. Guys, wow. This was a scene at the brothel. Oberyn Martell with his lady Elia Sandsnake, I think. Sand.
I think you're right.
They're picking out the women they're going to apparently have some sort of threesome with, I guess. I don't really know exactly what they're going to do, but they're literally objectifying women to the fullest extent of all time. And wow, it happens. But my favorite thing is when they hear, you go through the whole scene. Oh, Andy hits on
the Reigns of Castamere, right?
Yes, he hears the Reigns of Castamere. And FYI, I want to point out that he totally hits on Littlefinger's stable boy or whatever who's watching the brothel.
I don't feel like he was hitting on him. I think he was just being like, I'm gonna do what I want, and if I want to, more than hitting on him.
Yeah, no. You're right. I thought it was definitely I thought it was definitely a double. It had a double meaning there. A little bit of entendre. It was talking. He was trying to assert how powerful he was, and he's like,
exactly.
I'm over myself. Screw you. He was just kind of doing some foreplay. So
I don't know. I mean, I heard the Dornish men. They like goats. They like pretty much anything they can get a hold of, right? So.
I mean, half of Westeros. They didn't say half the humans in Westeros. That's for sure.
Oh my gosh.
But yes, back to the Reigns of Castamere. Here's the Reigns of Castamere. And he stops what he's doing. And he walks in and he talks to these guys.
Do you know why all the world hates a Lannister? You think your gold and your lions and your gold lions make you better than everyone. I tell you a secret. You're not a golden lion. You're just a pink little man who's far too slow on the draw. Longsword is a bad option in close quarters.
That was a great scene, and I just thought it was great. And then Tyrion shows up, kind of in shock. He's like, "Oh crap, what is this guy doing?" And basically, they kind of have a little bit of verbal jousting, if you will, kind of back and forth a little bit. But the thing to take away from this scene, the two go outside and they start talking, and we really get into why Martell's there, why Oberyn's there, and he's got a kind of a vengeful thing against the Lannisters. Like, he kind of despises the Lannisters because
for good reason too.
Yeah, absolutely.
We kind of found out that his sister Elia, right? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Was actually married, or was going to marry Prince Rhaegar.
Yes.
And they, had their thing and they had children and all that stuff. But Rhaegar cheats on her with another woman, leaves her for another woman. And because of that, Oberyn believes anyway that they said they didn't know the facts, but the rumors were that Gregor Clegane, the Mountain, raped her and then killed her children and her.
Split her in half with a sword.
Exactly. And Oberyn believes that Tywin is actually the one that called the shots on that. Believes that he's the one that said that should happen. So that's why he hates the Lannisters. He blames them for the raping and killing of his sister and I guess his nieces and nephews. And I can see why you hate the Lannisters,
Yeah, well, it's that Lannisters, like, they don't just when they say they're going to kill when they set out to kill a family, they kill everyone. Every single one. And that was what he was so upset about, was even though Rhaegar had ditched his wife and gone off for another woman, because Elia was a Targaryen and because her kids were Targaryens, they all died.
Right.
And obviously the manner in which she was killed, or is apparently killed, has a huge impact. Tyrion's a little worried. And then, of course, we have to have the following scene where he goes and talks to Shay. Guys, I hate Shay. I really hate Shay.
I really don't like Shay either.
I think she's completely unreasonable.
He doesn't really go to talk to her.
She just is there.
Oh, he goes. Well, yeah, he goes back to his chambers and she's there. Thank you, Austin. That is a pretty important detail.
Yeah, it is important because he wants her to not be there, not because he doesn't like her or whatever, because he doesn't want to get in trouble. He doesn't want her to get caught and killed. And
yeah, and she, I mean, at the end of the scene, she says, basically like, "You were trying to get rid of me. Do you want me here?" And we know that Tyrion wasn't the one to try to get rid of her, but
at the same time,
it was actually Varys. Yeah,
right.
At the same time, he kind of does want her to go.
Because for her safety, not because he doesn't want to be around her.
Yeah, I really do think he loves her, but at the same time, he now realizes, especially since he's married, that like she is literally helping no one, doing nothing for him, doing nothing for herself. Like, it's just bad.
Yeah. I mean, even if he had a relationship with her, he'd feel like he was hurting Sansa even more than his family had already done.
Right.
Like, it would just be, it wouldn't, like you said, good for nobody.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Austin, you mentioned the whole Varys thing. I think that's an interesting takeaway. Shay automatically assumed that Tyrion was the one who sent Varys to send her away. We know that's not the case, and I thought that was a really great scene last season. That kind of got shoehorned, or not shoehorned, but it was in episode 10 that got kind of looked over with everything else going on. That Varys is really, he's got a hindsight saying we need to get rid of her because she is a nuisance. And I think Tyrion Lannister is one of the few people who could actually change Westeros and do good for this world, but she's in the way, and she could be his downfall. And I think that's a very important detail. And as much as Tyrion and Varys have tried to tell her, you need to leave for your own safety and for the betterment of Tyrion, she's not doing it. She's just not getting it.
And as we see at the end of the scene, it may very well be his downfall as the spy.
Yeah.
As Shay's leaving the room.
And I mean, we don't see her tell, but she does show up, and that she's the one that walks in the door when Jaime and Cersei are having a little argument. She's the one that walks in the door, and she says to Cersei, "You told me to talk to you if anything big came up." So it's definitely implied that she is killing her about Shay. So yeah, that's bad news. Got bad news.
I don't think Shay is long for this world.
No, I don't think Shay is long for this world either.
I have lots of things I'd love to see happen. I think you could kill Joffrey and pin it on Shay, and then Shay has to get killed too. All my theories involve Joffrey dying because that's what I just really, really want to happen.
You just want Joffrey to die.
I just want him to die at his own wedding. It would be just beautiful. Beautiful.
I swear, George R. R. Martin was traumatized as a young child at weddings. He must have.
Here's the other thing. End of last season, Tyrion, he gets an argument with Joffrey because Joffrey wants to serve Robb's head to Sansa at his wedding. Tyrion kind of gets really upset, basically threatens to kill Joffrey. We could very well see Shay's head on a platter in front of Tyrion at this wedding if Joffrey remembers that.
Martin could subvert our expectations and then have nothing happen at this wedding. So who knows?
We should point out that he is writing this next episode. So.
Yes. George R. R. Martin is writing the next episode. We'll hit on that at the end of the podcast. But yeah, very excited to see what happens. North to the Wall and Jon Snow. We have a great a scene I really liked. It was very small, very, very short, but I thought it was really great. Was when Jon was reflecting on the news that his brother Robb had been murdered.
Last time I saw him, he was in the courtyard of Winterfell. He said, "Next time I see you, it'll be all in black." I was jealous of Robb my whole life. The way my father looked at him, I wanted that. He was better than me at everything. Fighting and hunting and riding and girls. God, the girls loved him. I wanted to hate him, but I never could.
And I think that's a hint of tragedy that they could never resolve that, but it's just kind of how he remembers things.
I have a quick question for Austin, actually, because as a book reader, I was thinking something specific about this scene because I know what's going on in Sam's head. So did you find anything in particular strange between Jon and Sam in that scene, by any chance?
I mean, Sam kind of brings it up. I don't know if it's strange, but he does say something to the effect of, Robb is to you as you are to me, essentially. As far as strange, no, not really.
Okay. Well, for me, I really do like that point, which we can talk about. But for me, I thought it was very interesting. Sam just saw Bran, and he doesn't tell Jon. I thought that was very peculiar.
Did he realize who it was?
I thought he realized that he figures out it's Bran. I'm pretty sure because he sees him and he's crippled, and he says, "You're Jon's brother, right?" And I'm pretty sure he realizes who he is. And so I just found it interesting that he doesn't tell Jon. I don't know. Am I wrong about that, Caleb?
No, he didn't mention Bran at all.
I know, but he recognizes that it is Bran, right?
No, yeah, he recognizes Bran's, and he totally did. Yeah, in episode 10 last season, he did recognize his Bran, and they didn't hit on that. That's yet to be determined whether they'll talk about that or not. There is kind of a lot going on at the wall, so maybe Sam's like, I'll tell you later, just in case.
We're about to die soon, because
that's a good point. I just thought it was really interesting that Sam doesn't really bring that up.
Yeah, well, for a character like Sam who supposedly doesn't have much of a spine, he's assertive in his own ways, and maybe you can call it passive aggressive or whatnot. But he knows what he's doing. He's not an idiot. He's not a total idiot, and I think he recognizes that. Holy crap, we're about to go to war. So
I guess that's a good point too. I just thought it was really interesting.
Well, and Jon is probably one of the most effective leaders they have in the Night's Watch. So why would you want to emotional? I mean, because then all of a sudden he might be like, crap, we gotta go find him. We gotta go stop him from going north of the wall. You know what I mean?
That's really a really solid point actually, because Jon would definitely want to do something like that.
Yeah, exactly, because his family means everything. The next scene is Jon goes into the trial with the Night's Watch, and there's kind of a sort of council here made up of Aemon Targaryen, Alistair Thorne, and guys, I loved this point, Janos Slynt. Fun fact for those of you who've read the books and or watched the show so well that you remember this very, very minor character. He was the king of the city, or the Lord of the City Watch, the guys who backstabbed Ned Stark. Remember, right before he walked in, he had the gold cloaks, and he said, "Are you with us?" And he's like, "Oh, with you, Lord." And then they all backstabbed him. And then later,
he's also you're going to talk about it. Okay.
Yeah, and then in season 2, he's the one who's having drinks with Tyrion, and Tyrion essentially says, "I don't trust you. I'm shipping you off to the Night's Watch."
Okay, he's also the one that is a part of the whole baby slaughtering of all the bastards.
Oh, right? That's a very good point. Yeah, he's the one who goes into the brothel and like kills the baby himself. Yeah. So nice.
So he's on that trial on the board of people putting Jon Snow on trial.
Right.
I'm sorry. Like when Jon gives his little line about, he's like, "I was lord of the king's men," and he's like, "And now you're here." Yeah. Guess you weren't very good. I loved it. Oh, I was like, yes,
go,
Jon.
Beautiful. It was beautiful.
There were some pretty beautiful moments with Janos Slynt being an idiot right there. It was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in particular, actually, throughout this conversation, as Jon's explaining, their situation, that they have like 100,000 wirelings coming at them, he's listing off the groups that are coming at him and say they've been able to unite this clan and this clan, and he mentions giants. And the most hilarious thing, if you watch it, Janos like laughs and chuckles to himself. Giants don't exist, and he goes and looks over at Aemon and Alistair. Like, am I right, guys? Giants don't exist, huh?
100,000 is united the Thens, the Hornfoots, the Ice River clans. There's giants fighting for it.
Giants.
And they just are totally serious. And the look on his face as he realizes, oh, giants exist.
Yeah. It's just really funny. He's like so out of the loop. He's like, giants.
Wait.
And there's like a stone-walled, stone-faced, like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
And I liked it because Jon Snow is a man of honor. He still stuck to his word. He didn't lie about any of his shenanigans. He didn't lie about Corn Halfhand. He didn't lie about joining and infiltrating him, and he didn't lie about breaking his vows and loving another woman, which I thought was really, really poignant there, because he is really putting himself on the line. Like they could actually cut his head off. They could take his head for this. And he decided to roll with it, take the risk, and be honest about it. And
but let's just be. These guys just have it out. Especially I always forget his name. The one in the middle. Alistair. He especially just got it out for Jon.
Yeah.
He was whatever reason, him, right? So
decides to hate Jon from the get-go, and that's just
It's true. And then obviously Janos Slynt is no friend of his either, because he's like, "Oh, you're the son of a traitor, you traitor." Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I do love Master Aemon though.
Dude, Master Aemon. Cool. Master Aemon's great. He trusts Jon. He's like rolls with it. So you could say for now, Jon's off the hook for now. I have a feeling that they're going to come back to this whole he betrayed the Night's Watch thing, if I had to guess. But so I think maybe he's temporarily off the hook. What do you guys think?
I think he's fine as long as Aemon's alive. If Aemon's not around anymore and these other two guys are kind of running the show, Jon Snow might be in trouble.
True.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point because he is the one that sort of sticks up for him in that and says that he's free to go and all that. So, but like you said, Alistair makes the point. I am the acting commander, so in the end, it's my decision. So I can see both your points. I think it might come back up, but at the same time, if Aemon's there, he should be all right.
And I also think Alistair Thorne, despite always having out for Jon, and I don't disagree with you. If you go back to season 1, yeah, he definitely does. He does not like Jon Snow. But I feel like he's actually trying to play it straight to some degree. Like, even though he doesn't like him, he really doesn't like him. I feel like he's trying to do what would be the best for the Night's Watch, by the Night's Watch. I think he's trying to hold straight to that measure. Because, again, if he really didn't like Jon, he could have just had it taken off. We got to catch up with the wildlings a little bit. I was a little surprised by the scene. We caught up with the wildlings, and so Tormund and Ygritte, and basically they met up with some gentlemen known as the Thin, and they are apparently cannibalistic savages who are like uber epic warriors.
They were pretty cool. I'm looking forward to them eating Sam.
Wow. Austin really does not like the Sam. Yeah, piggy. Oh, come on, Austin. That's so mean. Why would you do that?
So yeah, these guys are cannibals, and
have you ever tasted crow before?
I actually really did like this scene. It shows what Alistair was talking about because it go back to the little Jon on trial-ish scene. He says that Mance could never unite the wildlings because they start fighting within 20 minutes or something like that. And all we've ever seen is this tribe or group of wildlings, and now we're seeing another tribe, and we're starting to see, they aren't all the same. There are different groups of people that don't get along and do get along, just like they are in Westeros. And clearly, they even make reference they clearly haven't gotten along in the past, but they're agreeing to get along for now for Mance, for however Mance has convinced them. So I thought it was cool. It kind of showed us that all of the wildlings aren't the same. There's different groups and tribes up there that are different, but for some reason they've decided to unite, which was...
Yeah, I thought so too. And just it was another group of people. And note the wildlings, even though we call wildlings, they haven't been particularly wild up to this point really, but we saw these guys who are really crazy. And to kind of highlight the different tribes, the wildlings aren't just one group of people, they are various groups. And we saw the Giants a little bit last season, but yeah, we get to see another angle on that.
You do see a little bit of the idea that Ygritte definitely let Jon Snow go at the end of last season.
Yeah.
She was not aiming to kill him.
Yeah.
Which kind of Tormund calls her out on, basically.
God, man, I love Tormund. He was a character I never even remotely cared about in the books, but I love the guy. I don't know if it's the red beard or what. I love this dude in the show, though.
Yeah, he's awesome.
It's got to be the fiery red beard. Well, let's go ahead and move on to Daenerys. Very, very short. She only really had 2 scenes this week, so we catch up with her. She's feeding her dragon some goat and stuff. It's pretty cool. She's greeted by Jorah Mormont, and he says, hey, yada yada, come join the group. And she's like, where's Dario? Because, man, her favorite person is Dario.
For some reason.
And she goes, and she marches through her giant epic army to find out that Dario...
That was a cool camera shot. I really like that camera shot.
Yeah, that was an excellent camera shot just to show you, holy crap, she really does have a really huge army.
It starts and it's just like it keeps going and going and going and going. It was really cool.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice touch too, because when you throw numbers out there, you're like, whoa, that's a lot. But like when you see it, you're just like, whoa.
Yeah, whoa.
You definitely get the sense that she walked for miles to come yell at these guys.
Yeah.
Because by the time we see her, she's not even in that group. She's in the ex-slaver group, and it's like, how far away was this?
Yeah, exactly. She walked miles. She walked miles. Grey Worm and Dario were gambling. They were playing a game. So we get there, and we are greeted by Obama. I mean Grey Worm, and some dude with a beard. I'm not really sure what his name is. Apparently, he claims the term Dario. We're not sure who this guy is, but no. But seriously, so we're greeted by the new Dario. And this is a new actor. They recast him. I've actually tried reading up. I've done some searching on exactly why this happened, and I think something's going on here that HBO is not wanting anyone to know about or something, because there's not a lot of news on exactly why the recasting happened.
I looked up too. I couldn't find anything either.
And this is our first major kind of character recast, isn't it? I mean, I know they've recast the Mountain a couple times, but you can barely see him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the first like noticeable recast.
Right. And they didn't and they didn't go for a guy who looks like the guy we knew last season at all. Like last season that guy was a pretty boy.
No.
Like he was such a pretty boy. I seriously every time I saw him I wanted to punch him in the face. No joke. Just
jealous. Jealous.
No, he just had that smug like, "Oh, look at me. I pose on magazines look," you know. And then I hated the way Daenerys acted like a little schoolgirl around him. "Oh, Dario, you're sexy."
Oh, she still does that. She still does that with this guy.
Not quite as much.
Here's the thing. I felt like the old Dario
in the flower scene. She definitely did that.
Yeah,
or at least a little bit.
Did.
Yeah, she did. She was playing hard. She was playing hard to get though.
Dario was unique though. I felt like he was like super confident, a little mysterious, but like a bit of a rebel. Whereas this guy, and to be fair, he hasn't had a full chance to show his chops yet. He just seems kind of generic. Like I don't care about him right now.
Well,
we'll see where it goes and what happens.
I will say this. I say we wait and see how it goes. And the second thing being, with this guy in particular, we need to wait. I feel like they could have just gone out and casted a lookalike, but they went with this guy for a reason. And if you go look at his acting pedigree, it's a little more prestigious. So I mean, he's not like a huge, but he's got more credits than the other guy. And I just think that they were trying to cast more for the actor who's going to properly capture that character than they were, oh crap, we got to find a guy that looks a lot like the last guy we had. So.
Oh, sure. But I thought the last guy was doing a good job with the character personally.
I don't know. The other guy honestly was fine. I just like to make fun of how much of a pretty boy he looked like.
I definitely would rather them err on the side of a good actor than just trying to mimic the guy they used to have.
Yeah. I agree. So I think I think, and this is yet to be seen, but I think they're making a good call. But anyway, so we're introduced to Dario. He has a nice little exchange there with Grey Worm, very brief, but it was kind of fun. Kind of questioning Grey Worm's love for Daenerys, even though he is castrated. And but then he has a scene where Dario and Dany have kind of a little exchange where he pulls out his different flowers and she's trying really hard to not act impressed. Like, oh, you think you can woo me with your flowery charms? But she's totally falling for him. Totally hardcore falling for him.
She already did last season.
I know. That's what I was saying. It was so irritating.
For some reason.
I know. Because he was pretty and sexy and he was mysterious.
Well, it's what? She's supposed to be like 15, 16 at this point or something.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Oh, sorry. And then the end of the scene ends. She goes and reunites with Sir Barristan and the rest of her people as they walk on the road. And the people from Marine had stacked these bodies of dead girls, pointing kind of as like, don't come any closer, a warning sign. For what was like 183 miles or something along those lines.
I think it was like 168, something like that.
Yeah, it was a really big number, and there was one body for every mile marker. So these people, they mean business, and they really don't want her to come by. But if they really knew Daenerys, they would know that would actually make her want to come. It would encourage her to go even further. So what did you guys take about that scene with the Marine? The pointing of the Marine is trying to warn her. Where do you guys see this going?
To be fairly honest, I thought the Daenerys scenes were probably the weakest part of the episodes. This episode, not really a lot happened, and I'm not the biggest Dany fan anyway. So
agreed.
I thought they were kind of weak. It was just sort of, hey, it felt like the whole typical like, oh, Dany's on her way to Marine. That's what we're supposed to get out of those scenes from her. Oh, and the fact that the dragons are a lot was the coolest part.
Okay, those dragons are pretty dang epic.
Actually, I take that back. There was one thing that was really cool was the fact that the dragon snapped at her instead of which is Jorah. I would like to point out right now before the rest of the season continues, Jorah has been saying for a while, you can't control these dragons. They are dragons. They cannot be tamed. He's there again, reminding her, just saying.
Yeah, but Jorah said a lot of things and been wrong.
That's true. No, it's true, but Jorah said a lot of things and been right too.
Yeah,
it's true. I guess you got a 50-50 shot at saying anything.
Really, the only thing she's been wrong about was the whole thing where they took young Kai last year. That he was wrong about that. He didn't think they could take it, and he went on what he thought was a suicide mission to take it, and he was wrong. So that was good. And then he underestimated her when she took Astafor. He wasn't really wrong. He just underestimated what she was doing, her strategy. So, but other than that, I'd say he's been pretty right. He was right about Zara Zaradoxis. He was right about the whole car thing. He was right about trusting the witch doctor in season 1. I think Jorah's been right a lot more than he's been wrong.
I think you just want to see Daenerys get eaten by a dragon.
I don't want to see Daenerys getting eaten by a dragon. I want Dany to succeed, but I also think that her character flaws will get in her way, and and if she fails, I won't be upset if she fails because she is so arrogant.
Yeah, her storyline is pretty weak right now. I think. I don't think it's that interesting at the moment, but she's like the one kind of moment where the good guys are winning right now, and they have for a long time, which makes me really, really worried for her safety. Yeah, this is all going to turn around and come crashing down on her.
I mean, this is Game of Thrones. Good guys don't win for very long. Yeah. Well, that's a good point, and she does win a lot, and she is kind of the good guy. I'll give you that. And honestly, I mean, her storyline is going to get more interesting later this season, I'm sure.
Yeah, it is. It's going to.
But I'm with Stoll. This is definitely the weakest part of the episode because it didn't really. It seemed like it was more like checking in with Daenerys because Daenerys is such a fan favorite. It's like, we've got to check in. Everyone wants to see her. Let's throw her a couple scenes because it didn't. It reintroduced us to them, but I don't even feel like it really set that much up. It's like, hey, they're going to Marine. Cool.
I mean, like I said, the only thing I really got from her episodes was the dragon part where she's losing a little bit of control there, and other than that, it was just like you said. Let's just check in with Dany, you know. And then the Marine thing, seeing that we know that she's now like her fire has been fueled, and she's angry now, and so it gives her more motive to go and take this city with all of her power and army and might and all that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead. Danny scene. We'll see where that goes. I'm interested to see where it goes.
We'll move on to the best scene of the entire episode.
This was the scene steal of the week, and there were a lot of great scenes this week. And I thought the Jaime scenes were great, but guys, by far the funniest and most enjoyable moments of the whole episode was the
one of the best scenes I think of the entire series so far. I really do.
It's a very good scene.
It's really great. Honestly, I have to think about it more. I hadn't thought about it in those terms, but yes, it was a fantastic scene. Definitely one of the best scenes ever been in a season premiere. The Hound and Arya, Batman and Robin, or I don't know, any other great duos out there? Lone Ranger and Tonto. I don't know. So
Frodo and Sam.
So they're right. Oh, okay. Frodo and Sam. There's so many. The Hound got so many great lines, guys. Okay, so
oh my gosh,
man's got to have a code.
Man's got to have a code. What the salami? She's like, he killed Lummy. He killed Lummy. What the salami? Okay, we'll start at the beginning of the scene. They ride in. They're kind of talking about, and gosh dang it, Arya wants her own horse. And the Hound's like, I'll get you a stinking pony. Just wait. He's like, it's so funny. And then they run into some of the Lannister men. One of them, which happened to be really the Mountains men, and one of them happens to be Pulver, the guy who captured them and killed a lot of the kids that Arya was traveling to the Wall with in season 2. In the books, Pulver is actually on her death list. Like she recites his name when she says her death prayer of all the people she's going to kill. The Hound's like, nah, this is stupid. I mean, there's I could take him, but I really don't feel like it. And Arya goes in anyway. So the two of them quietly walk into this pub end thing, and they're eating and they're watching. And there's a little great exchange between the Pulver comes and sits down and talks to the Hound. And they start talking, and that's where we get some great moments. And man, the Hound just wants his chicken.
He loves the chicken.
He just wants some chickens.
He wants.
Actually, I'd like to make a point here before we go on. Yeah. I actually felt a little bit of a Tarantino moment here for me because the dialogue was really like, and Tarantino is very good at doing long scenes with dialogue and keeping the intensity. I felt that here. Just the dialogue was so intense, but because you knew at any moment people might just die, and
that is a.
The dialogue was sustained, so I felt like there's a little bit of
no. Still, I'm totally with you, and I was thinking the exact same thing. And the reason I was thinking that is that scene where the Hound picks up the drink and drinks it, and the camera doesn't cut away. The scene I was thinking was from Pulp Fiction when Samuel L. Jackson is drinking the soda, and it doesn't cut away.
You mind if I have some of your tasty beverage to wash this down? Go right ahead. That hit the spot.
It was like the same thing. I was like, I'm totally with you on the Tarantino style thing. Two guys you knew were going to go at it. and they were just kind of sitting and talking, and you were just waiting for the bubble to bust. It was all, and that was building the tension. Then finally, he's like, "F it." Paul
By the way,
talking. He's like, "You're a talker, and the more you talk, the thirstier it makes me." Yada yada. If one more word comes out of your mouth, I'll eat every chicken in this room.
I will say that I thought Massey Williams actually did a really good job with her facial expressions during this scene.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic!
Phenomenal.
When he says "F the king,"
yes,
perfect. She was like,
she did a fantastic job during this scene.
No, I'm totally with you. And the chemistry these two have is just unreal. You would never think in a million years that these two would have this kind of chemistry, right? Like this team up. If you would have said in season 1, the Hound and Arya are going to team up and it's going to be awesome, no one would have been like, yeah. They would have been like, what?
Yeah. What? How's that going to happen?
So yeah, they get in a fight, they get in a little tussle, and the Hound just owns some fools, like hardcore, straight up kill some dudes.
And I just want to point out that Oberyn Martell is wrong. Long swords and close quarters combat work out just fine.
And there was that one scene, one of the most brutal kills I've seen in a while, was he takes he's wrestling on the ground with that dude and takes his head, and then literally just shoves it against the sword the knife over and over again.
I've never seen any death quite like that one. That was pretty good.
Yeah,
it was intense. So they have this big fight, but here's what to walk away from the scene with is that scene when Arya comes down from the rafters and takes her sword from Pullover, and then recites.
Something wrong with your leg, boy? What do you mean?
Can you walk? I'll carry you.
Carry me?
Find a little blade. Maybe I'll pick my teeth with it.
Literally the exact same phrases, in the exact same order.
And it's like he it wasn't until right before he stabs her in the neck that he knew who she was.
Right.
And it's like
she kills him the same way that he killed Lamy.
Killed Lamy, yes.
Yep.
Guys, I hate to say it, we are our favorite character. One of our favorite characters we are rooting for is a straight up sociopath.
How could she not be?
I mean, I'm with you. I'm just saying that's got psychopath written all over her. She's like reciting lines and killing people in the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, I can't blame her. I can't, and that's why I think Arya is such an interesting character.
I was totally rooting for her the whole scene. I was like, yes, exactly. I've been waiting for you to do this for so long.
I know.
Like,
and it does, and you do feel that sense of justice because even though this guy Pulliver's really a nobody, you're still like, yes, Arya just is getting her vengeance on the Lannisters. It's like, but you're like, if we stop and look at this from minds that say we never met Arya before and we saw this scene, we would think she's a freaking psycho. Okay.
Oh, she totally is a psycho, but you understand why she's a psycho.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: while as satisfying as that kind of kill was, because you're like, yeah, she's finally getting her revenge. It's kind of the same thing with Theon last year, where you're like, oh yeah, he's finally getting getting paid back for all the horrible things he's done. And it just keeps going. I have a feeling with Arya, at some point you're gonna be like, just stop killing people. Like, I don't like you anymore, and that's actually gonna be kind of sad.
A really good point, and I know me and Caleb have talked about this before. Is what if? And I have no idea if this is what they're doing or not. So this is no spoilers or whatever. But I have no idea if this is where they're headed. But what if Arya becomes we see her become the villain, but we're rooting for her all at the same time. Like we all said, we were all like, yeah, she's killing this guy, but like you said, like where's the point going to be where we're like, okay, you've gone too far, and we're not, right. What if they take that character that far, and she becomes this brutal assassin that is the villain? Where's that line for us as an audience?
And that's hard for the viewers to decide because we're with her. We're still with her. We understand.
I'm totally with her.
I know exactly. Like all of the horrible things she's been through. It's like, yeah, she should have the right to kill anyone she wants to, right? But it's just.
I just know that George R.R. Martin likes to kill all of our favorite characters, and he's gonna kill her by just making you hate her.
Well, I think that's fair. And I'm just saying because if we were introduced to her like, say she comes in at the end of the show and we were introduced to her, who she was at the end of the show, we would probably hate her, think she's totally crazy, or just be like, man, this is crazy. But we won't feel that way by the time she gets to the end of her character arc because we've seen her develop it. And I think she is. I feel like she is in the makings of becoming a truly terrifying monster. I really do. But we all love her. I mean, I love her, and I thought it was a great scene. You're like, yeah, but then you're like, oh god.
But it's weird
so
because the thing is, though, she does have some sense of right and wrong and some sense of justice. It's not just I'm going to kill whoever I want. I'm going to kill people who have done terrible things.
Right.
And so it's not to the point where she's like just a killer who kills anyone in her path. There's specific people who have made specific decisions and done certain things.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see if those change along her path or if those stay the same. And
she's the Punisher.
Yeah. I was about to say she's like the Punisher, really. Yeah.
Yeah. Because for us, it's okay that she's killing these people because they've done evil things, so it's justified. You know, will there ever be a point where she maybe kills someone that hasn't done evil? Like, you know, where does that? And maybe that'll probably come in down the line.
So what happens if she runs into Tyrion, right? A guy who we know is not really a bad guy. We know that he's actually we've tried to like maintain we've tried to maintain this is a good guy who's trying to make the best for everybody, like for himself especially, but like he really is trying to make peace for everybody. But he's a Lannister. And in her mind, the Lannisters are all evil, right? Because look what they did to her freaking family. So what happens if they were in an alley and then she kills him? Is she still the good guy?
I don't even want to think about that. Don't even want to think about it.
Yeah, I don't want to think about it either. Because
don't take him away from me, Caleb.
But that's
no, I don't want to get you to go anywhere. I'm just saying.
I mean, I don't want to think about it, but that's the whole point. Is when she hits that that point where we're not okay with it anymore, like because it's not the evil person in our mind. Is she still a good? Are we still cheering for her? You know, that's the whole point, and we don't want to think about it because that that's the whole point. You know,
right. Well, we don't want to see her as a villainous character, but really, she's going down an incredibly, probably the darkest path of any character on the show. And
absolutely.
And so we don't want to think of it in terms of, hey, what if her morality has been warped because we're on her side, but obviously her morality is going to be warped, and at some point, I really do think at some point the show is going to build into this, and I'm not sure when it'll happen, but I think at some point we're gonna see Arya in a light where it's like, holy crap, she is really gone too far. I mean, we think she's crazy now, we recognize she's crazy, but we're still rooting for her. But like Still said, at what point is it that she is really become a monster? That was a great scene. I loved that scene. It was awesome. It was funny. Stole the episode. Hands down.
Yeah.
I want some freaking chicken.
It was a very smart decision to save it for the end, the last scene.
Yes. Yeah. Great.
It was the perfect last scene.
Great closing scene. And we'll march off. The land's burning. Me and Austin kind of looked in this a little bit. The Hound and Arya ride off into this burning valley. That was it's actually the Riverlands that have been scoured by Gregor the Mountain Clegane. So I feel like
it's all the guys they killed just now.
Yeah.
They already got a little revenge for that.
They do.
Landscape.
Overall, what were your overall feelings about the episode as a whole?
I thought it was a solid episode. I didn't think there was anything spectacular about it. There were a lot of good character moments and it's just a really solid opening to a season, but there wasn't any of those moments where like, oh my gosh, that was just going to be one of the greatest moments in the history. I don't feel like, but it was a very good episode. I felt like it set up really well for the rest of the season. It was just a really good opener, reminding us kind of where everyone's at, and then saying this is where the season's headed. And I thought it was a really good season opener.
Yeah.
But there wasn't like that super spectacular moment where we're going to look back and say this is one of the greatest episodes of the show.
I think the three main takeaways so far has been like, Jaime adjusting to life back in the capital. You have the impending wildling attack on the wall. And then finally the corruption of Arya. And yeah, overall, I think it was one of the better kind of season openers, I think.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I would say so. So, and compared to the other season openers, I think this was a really strong one. The only one I kind of like, I don't know if I'd say like better, but I also liked quite a bit with season 2. But season 1 and 3, I mean, this was definitely stronger than both of those. Not like the definitive Game of Thrones episode, but definitely one that is going to be necessary. And I'm sure it's to remind us, hey, here's where our characters are all at. Here's where we're getting ready to go. Hold on to your butts. Before we close out the show, let's go ahead and do a brief prehash of the upcoming episode written by George R.R. Martin titled The Lion and the Rose.
A toast to the proud Lannister children. The cripple, the dwarf, and the mother of madness.
Have you ever known your father to make an idle threat?
I know where we have to go.
There's only one hell, the one we live in now.
We have a new queen.
I said,
Kneel!
Here is the official synopsis. And by the way, guys, you gotta love these Game of Thrones synopsis. They are so vague and basic. You can't make heads or tails of any of this stuff. Tyrion lends Jaime a hand. Wow. Yeah, that was a good one from the PR associates over at HBO. Good job, guys. Joffrey and Marjorie host a breakfast. I mean, come on, guys. A breakfast, right? More like a wedding. I don't know why they didn't say a wedding, but hey. At Dragonstone, Stannis loses patience with Davos. What's new? Ramsay finds a purpose for his pet.
Interesting.
Not looking forward to hearing about that. I don't like that he calls it his pet, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't either.
Oh, it's going to be so messed up, guys. And then...
Oh, we get to see Bran.
We get to see... North of the Wall, Bran sees where they must go. Ooh, inside.
Ooh, that sounds good.
I mean...
I'm excited for Bran.
I am very excited for the return of Bran.
I'm very excited for Bran's story, and even from where I'm at in the books, hasn't gotten there yet. But his story is headed somewhere awesome. It's just taking a while to get there.
His storyline is heading somewhere very interesting.
When you don't have any legs, that can happen.
Oh. Yeah. Awesome. So I'm very excited to see where Bran goes to.
I think there's got to be big things at this wedding. I don't know. I don't know what it's gonna be. I'm hoping Joffrey dies. I always do, but something big's gonna happen for sure.
We all wish Joffrey would just die.
Seriously, that kid is. This is Game of Thrones. Only the awesome people we love die, not the evil ones. All right.
Exactly.
Right. I think that'll about do it. Before we totally check out this week, check out our podcast. We are now on YouTube, as those of you who are watching this live right now can see. We're on YouTube. You can check us out on Cast Beyond the Wall. Go subscribe to us on YouTube. You can find us at Facebook at facebook.com/castbeyondthewall. And you can follow us at Twitter at cast_beyond_GOT. And lastly, we are on we are on iTunes. Look us up, the Cast Beyond the Wall. There are two different podcasts. The one we did last year, if you want to go look at our archive, that one's on iTunes, or we have a separate one that is listed for this year, and we'll try to get you more information on that soon. We look forward to watching the episode The Lion, the Rose and talking about it next week. Until the next time.
Game of Thrones is back.
Bring me one of those chickens.
And KFC is celebrating with deals that can feed the hound. 8 pieces of the Colonel's famous chicken, any recipe.
I think I'll take 2 chickens.
Or add a second chicken and a side of our mashed potatoes and gravy, coleslaw and biscuits.
I'm gonna have to eat every chicken in this room.
Or try our every chicken in this room deal. All this for only $19.99.
You're gonna die for some chickens.
Someone is.
The KFC Game of Thrones meal deal. Now available Dragon Grill.
The scene with Jaime and Cersei, quickly, I was kind of shocked because if you've read the book, you know that when he gets back, the second he gets back to King's Landing, he goes up to freaking Cersei, and they do it, and Austin, get this, they don't just do it, they do it while she's on her period.
Yep.
Like dead serious. He's like about to do it, and he's like, it's your moon's blood. She's like, I don't care, do it, and they like go hardcore.
Yeah.
You could have another little inbred child with that. That's not good. With that, 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 that's